So I understand you've got a quick presentation for us before we go into the Q&A, but I would like to introduce you to our audience before we get started. So Yadin Kaufmann is a longtime venture capitalist in Israel. He co-founded Veritas Venture Partners as well as Tmura, the Israeli Public Service Venture Fund, a leading nonprofit organization in the Israeli high-tech sector. Since 2008, Yadin has been working to help create a Palestinian startup ecosystem. He co-founded in 2011 Sadara Ventures, the first fund targeting investments in Palestinian technology companies. He also founded in 2014 the Palestinian Internship Program. Most recently, he initiated a joint venture foundation to help create and finance partnerships between Palestinian tech companies and companies in the US and Israel. A bipartisan group of US congresspeople introduced the Partnership Fund for Peace Act of 2019 to establish and finance the foundation. So Yadin, the floor is yours, and then we'll dive into some questions and get on from there.
Okay, thanks. Well, first of all, thanks again for putting this together and for inviting me to speak here. You've heard from, you've all heard from really some of the, I guess, the most important people in developing the Palestinian tech sector from the Israeli side, or helping to develop it and to create connections between the two sides. As you said, Zika is a real pioneer. Chemi's been involved in this a long time. Eyal, of course, with Mellanox, and everyone who's spoken here. One point I want to make that I'm not sure has come through until now is that it is I believe, an extremely strong interest of all of us Israelis that there be a successful Palestinian economy. And just as, and I'll explain why in a second, but just as technology has been a driver for the Israeli economy and society, I think all of us here who've spoken believe, and certainly I do, that technology can help be that engine for growth in the Palestinian economy. And the gaps between wealth and opportunity and income between the Palestinians who live so close to us and Israel are enormous. So if the average GDP per capita here is about $40,000 a year, in the West Bank it's something like $3,000 a year. Okay, so a ratio of about 1 to 13. And I think we can all appreciate that when you have those kind of gaps and lack of opportunity, lack of hope, and lack of economic progress, then that is a recipe for bad things to happen. And if we can help bridge those gaps, that's very important for everyone. So, that's part of what's driven me to start some of these initiatives to help build Palestinian tech sector. It happened because I met some extremely talented and motivated and inspiring Palestinian people who were doing it, and thought that there would be a way to, or some ways to cooperate here. You mentioned the venture fund. As I was working with Palestinians, I saw that there were a lot of very bright, talented, motivated young Palestinians coming out of university. I think it was Chemi who said there are about 3,000 a year, something like that. Very few of them were finding opportunities to work in the tech sector locally. And by locally, I mean West Bank and East Jerusalem. So many of the more talented ones were leaving for the Gulf, or leaving for the US, or maybe staying where they were, but leaving the tech profession. And this was a big loss to the Palestinian economy, this brain drain. So I said, we have here in Israel, as Ami mentioned, 400 or so of the world's leading multinational companies, tech companies, and countless hundreds, thousands of successful Israeli tech companies. So let's find a way to, put one and one together and give some of these talented young people an opportunity that they won't have back home. And that was how the Palestinian Internship Program got started. Started about 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago by now, with Zach Fenster. It's being run today by Anna Gohl, very capably. And what we do with the internship program is we find really some of the best and brightest recent university graduates from Palestine, and we connect them with internship opportunities at companies in Israel. So both multinational companies and Israeli startups, Israeli VC funds, and so on. If I can, I'll try to show you a slide of just some of the companies that have been involved. Share screen. If it works, great. If not, we'll manage without it. Tell me when you can see it, if you do.
Okay, not yet.
All right, whatever. If it comes up, great. If not, I'll just mention some of the companies who've been involved. So we've had Google, Teva, Intel, HP Indigo, Cisco, Pitango, Freightos, many companies. So we've run 10 cycles of the program so far. Twice a year, we run a cycle. We've gotten tremendous interest on the part of young Palestinians because they've heard by now that this is just an opportunity that they will never get back home. And sorry, you still can't see the slide?
No. Oh,
okay.
Wait, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Now we can see it.
Okay, so there are some of the things. There are some of the companies we have 200 applicants every cycle that we run from West Bank and East Jerusalem, really some of the brightest young Palestinian university graduates. We have a bunch of companies, not enough. And then Anna takes the best of these 200. We choose about 40 finalists, and we try to match them with internships at companies in Israel. And even if you out there listening are not yet Cisco or Mellanox, if you're a startup, if you're a small Israeli company, if you're a medium-sized Israeli company, we'd love to talk to you. Reach out to Anna, A-N-N-A, at palinternship.com, and she'll be happy to follow up. The internships run for 3 to 6 months. We hear from you about what it is you're looking for in an intern. Are you looking for someone in R&D? What kind of skill set? Is it marketing? Is it finance? What have you? And we will send you, Anna will send you the CVs of candidates who may be relevant for you. You'll interview them. If you like them, then we'll facilitate the internship. We work closely with the Minhal Ezrachi, the civil administration, Kogat. I think we'll hear from them. They've been extremely supportive of what we're doing, very helpful. They vet the candidates, they give permits to whoever needs. And then we help manage the internship. You, the company, pay the interns at least minimum wage in Israel, which is about 5,300 shekels. And I can tell you that the experience of, I think, almost all, maybe even all of the companies here has been fantastic. They've gotten a huge return on investment. And
yeah, so Yadin, let me, if I may, just focus on that for a second, because I think, and if you can just unshare the screen so we can see you again. There we go. Because I think that's an important point here that you're talking about, and the audience for this conference is the Israeli ecosystem. So this is exactly the people that you're looking for. If I am the CEO of an Israeli company, why should I consider taking on a Palestinian intern through PIP?
Okay, well, there are lots of reasons. Number one, because we're giving you access to a pool of extremely bright, talented, very motivated young people who can contribute a lot to your organization, okay? Even if it's only 3 to 6 months. And I'll mention, by the way, that most of the interns, I think a majority of them, have been asked by their host companies to stay on beyond the internship period, okay? So many of them have stayed on for a few extra months. A couple of them have been in their companies already for several years. I think someone's been at HP Indigo, a woman in marketing, for about 3 or 4 years now. Somebody at WebTeb. There are a few companies that have had people already for quite a while. That's not the goal of the program, okay? I want to mention the goal is not to solve employment problems for Israeli companies. The goal is to give skills and opportunities to young Palestinians so that they can go back and help build their economy there. So one is access to a fantastic talent pool. Number two is, if your company is interested in learning about, perhaps it's already marketing in the Arab world, having someone who is obviously a native Arabic language speaker, has maybe better access than you do to some of those markets, can be extremely helpful. Diversity, it's kind of common wisdom by now that the more diverse a company's workforce is, the more successful that company is. Well, you can't get much more diverse for an Israeli company than having a Palestinian working in your company. There have been some incredible cultural bridging stories that come out of this program. It's really heartwarming. And by the way, I'll just make a pitch and encourage any of you. We run graduation events at the end of every cycle. We're probably not going to be able to do it now in the wake of Corona, but we had the last one in January at Google in Israel, and it was just an incredible scene of people, alumni from the program, current interns, people at Google, obviously, which was a host company, and lots of other people from the Israeli and Palestinian tech sectors coming together, and it's incredible. So those are some of the reasons. Plus, as I mentioned, the bigger picture, macro motivation, I guess, of doing something to build a bridge with the Palestinians, with the Palestinian economy, which I think is incredibly important for a lot of reasons.
So the other side of the coin is the question is, I'm a young Palestinian woman, just graduated from university. Why should I consider interning in an Israeli company through the program?
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned Palestinian woman, because it so happens that when you look at the male-female split, it's 48% female, 52% male, okay? Pretty remarkable, not what I expected going into this, and we didn't give preferential treatment to women, but that's an incredibly high percentage. And we've had some really fantastic interns, both male and female. Why would a Palestinian woman do this? Well, for many reasons, the same reason a Palestinian man would do it is that they will never have this opportunity, or not never, today, they do not have the opportunity if they live in Ramallah or Hebron or Bethlehem or Shechem or wherever they're coming from. We've had people from all those places, refugee camps nearby, whatever. They do not have those opportunities back home. Okay, so yes, there is the beginning of a Palestinian tech ecosystem. It's great. It's got huge potential. There's some great companies there, but it's still very small. Okay, there are not the kind of companies, unfortunately, not yet, the kind of companies that they can come to here, work for a few months, get something fantastic on their resume, meet people, build a network, gain skills. And by the way, it's not just the internship. We also run workshops for all of our finalists. So I mentioned we choose 40 finalists each cycle. They all get the opportunity to participate in a number of workshops that we run each cycle. So they're all getting value, even if we don't manage to eventually match them with an internship. And and if you look at the results, and I think this is what's motivating a lot of those 200 to apply for the internship program. You look at the results, well, we actually studied 56% of the interns were unemployed when they started, and when they finished, after they finished the program, and when we track our alumni, 43% of them are working already in new jobs, 28% are still at their host companies, okay? And 8% of them have gone on to start their own companies, including a couple of those young Palestinian women that you referred to, really fantastic young entrepreneurs. And the rest are doing either higher degree, higher education degrees, and some are looking for work. About 12% are still looking if you look back at the interns. So gives them opportunity, and it's got proven results, both for the companies and for the interns, and I'd argue for both societies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think the final bit of what you said about the facts and figures is extremely important. And I talked about that with Eyal Waldman, that return on investment can be measured also in impact. And these kind of initiatives are very clear, very clear KPIs. The return on investment is very clear. They can be evaluated, and we can see the successes, and we can deal with the challenges which obviously come about. But absolutely fabulous, so important. Yadin, thank you so much for your time.
I just want to, sorry, before I leave, I just first of all want to acknowledge, because this is an event in which the U.S. Embassy is involved. I do want to acknowledge the support of USD, which was mentioned in another context, but they were instrumental in getting PIP off the ground. And again, I want to encourage everybody who's out there. It's a model that has worked for 47 companies so far. We'd love to have your company on board. So Anna@palinternship.com. We're also starting a mentorship program. So there's a way for you to contribute and a way for you to be involved if you're interested. We'll be happy to hear from you.
So I will mention to anyone viewing us live, we've got quite a few people watching us live, and I'll mention to anyone who's returning to the videos that here at the Paris Center, we will be happy to make any connections to Anna, to PIP, to any one of the speakers. Anyone wanting to follow up, we'll be happy to make those connections. So Yadin, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks.